everyone, this is RestingWitchFaceTarot, and I am here today with the first 10 days of Ethany's 31 Days of Tarot Tag. So without much further ado, I will go ahead and get into it. So the first prompt is for a reading for 2021. I personally don't feel comfortable sharing something so personal with YouTube yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip on to number 2, which is your top 5 tarot that you have purchased or that has come out in 2020. This is going to be in no particular order. And the first one is going to be the Tarot Fauna. It is no surprise, at least to the people who know me, that this is by far one of my favorite purchases of the year. I just love this deck so much. I did get it, I don't know, maybe sometime in March, I want to believe. But just the sweet little scenes and its structure within the Rider-Waite-Smith makes me very happy. It has no borders. I've worked with this a ton. I would have to say that my second favorite with no rank is going to be the Way of the Panda Tarot. I loved this deck so much that I got the full size too. I really love mini decks, and if there's an option to buy a mini deck, that's what I'm gonna buy, because girl has teensy weensy hands. And this, along with the guidebook, which I'm going to be talking about later on in this tag, has really helped me kind of tap into my own feelings and do a little bit of inner child work, do a little bit of shadow work. I know that these cute little pandas aren't what people often think of when they say like, oh, this is my shadow work deck. But this year in particular, I felt that sort of work really needed to be performed in a really gentle, kind of warm blanket over your shoulders, giving you a cup of tea, like, hey, let's take a look at this maybe, instead of just punching you in the face and, shivving you in the stomach all the time. Just so that you know, here's the size comparison. You can see that. But, yeah, I loved this deck so much that I wanted to get the bigger size so that I could photograph it more easily. But the baby panda size is definitely the one that I personally gravitate towards too, because I am 4'11". The next deck on the top 5 tarot that I'm going to talk to you guys about is the True Black. The True Black Tarot is definitely one that is beautiful. And I've really been loving this deck because, to me at least, it has kind of more of a masculine energy. And any male clients that I have, this is pretty much my go. What's going on with you? Oh, why is that shuffled in there? Right. So this is what I've been going to for any of my male clients, or any kind of reading that I feel that cooler heads and that more masculine approach would really do some good. The artistry in this deck is beautiful. I've never seen a black quite so deep on a tarot deck, and I really enjoy this cardstock. It's kind of like a rubbery feel. It goes one step past rose petal finish, at least for me. And I live in a very humid area, so this stock being water resistance, obviously not waterproof, but water resisting, is a big draw for me. And that's the True Black Tarot. The next one, once again, no surprise. As soon as I got this in my hands, it became my baby. And that's my Bonestone and Earthflush Tarot. For personal readings, I just can't get away from this. I tried to talk myself into selling this several times, but I just can't. Everything about this deck it's just beautiful. Some people have had problems with chipping on the edges. I don't riffle shuffle, and even I've gotten a couple of chips, which is really disappointing. I don't know if you can see that. That's the biggest one that I've seen. But I just overhand shuffle. I'm not a riffle shuffler. I'm really gentle on my decks, and it's even coming off for me. I don't know what I'm gonna do when it starts flaking off so badly that it just doesn't feel right in my hand, because that flaky tactile sensation, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I've heard of other people taking an emery board and filing off all of this gilding, and that may be something that I want to do, but I want to try it with a mass-produced deck first. Maybe I'll pick up the Tarot of Mystical Moments and file off that, because I feel that has like the same kind of like hard gilding. And the next one is my Cosmic Cycles Tarot. This is another one that the cardstock feels really great, but this is one that I would consider a rose petal finish. And I never thought that a modern kind of relatable deck would be something that I would ever be into. I'm very much like that person who loves history. I love very like traditional art, and this looks kind of cartoony, and I didn't really think that it was going to be for me. The reason why I bought it is because someone local was the author, and I heard that it was going to have this kind of cardstock, so I was like, I'll get it. You know, I wanted to support a local business, I wanted to support a local creator, but I never thought that I would love this deck as much as I did. And this is definitely one of my top purchases of 2020. I don't see, in the foreseeable future at least, any way that I would want to get rid of this deck. I ended up getting the limited edition version with the purple gilding, and I do not regret it at all. It has one of the most sturdy boxes that I have in my entire collection, and the guidebook is really cute. And I cheated. All of these decks were just a bunch of indie decks. This was the year that I kind of discovered indie decks. So at the beginning of the year, I did purchase this when it first came out. And this is the Wizard's Tarot by Barbara Moore. I really enjoy this deck. It's borderless, which I love. The art is absolutely gorgeous. The guidebook is really good. There are a couple ones that I thought were like the explanation for the Ten of Wands in particular didn't thrill me. And it didn't really, oh, there he is. It didn't really go with what I got from this image, you know, but I mean, it's the Ten of Wands. Like, most of us understand what the Ten of Wands represents, but with like the multicolored kind of lights on his horns, like, I just didn't get any intuitive hits off of this. But the rest of these cards were just popping for me. Like, this is a great Page of Cups. Like, the Five of Swords, this is great. This card reminds me of River Tam from Firefly, and it made me really happy. You know, just the artistry in this deck is beautiful. The guidebook, great. It's what we've come to expect from Barbara Moore. And I've just been working with this deck a ton, and this is probably my favorite mass market find of 2021. And I love those backs. I don't read reversals, so the backs not being reversible doesn't do anything for me. Like, this to me just looks like early 2000s, late 1990s goodness. I feel like half of my boyfriends had a shirt that looked exactly like this. Like, this could have been on one of those velour shirts. Moving on, we have your top 5 Oracle of 2020. And my top pick is going to be the Children of the Universe Oracle by Britta Etra, or Etra Britta rather. And this is the Rose edition. I also have the Gold edition, which, let's see. Here's an example of that. I have a comparison video of the two on my channel. I think it was my first ever video of a walkthrough. So if you want to see the differences, and they are different, go ahead and check them out. But I just love this deck. As someone who's, I would consider a beginner to novice in astrology, I feel that having the astrological correspondence cards of all of the zodiac signs, of all the planets, alongside cards like this, of occult knowledge, which would be traditional oracle cards, really kind of helps me stretch myself. And I just love this deck so much. I think in part, once again, is the book that it comes with. It is a chunky monkey. Let's see. Here it is. It's a big book, and it has a lot of information. And for me, this deck was just really great at discerning what kind of energies I have to work with. I've been using this as like a monthly pull to try to figure out, like, okay, I have the astrological sign of Cancer energy around me right now. What can I do with that? And for me, it's been really helpful. Once again, that's the Child of the Universe Oracle by Etra Britta. The next oracle that I have is the Heart of Fairy Oracle. Now, this kind of does double duty for me because it's also one of the decks that I crossed off of my wish list. But I don't think a week has gone by where I didn't use this deck. I don't know why half of these are reversed. I probably was just trying to clean up really quickly, and some reversals got shoved in here. But I really love this deck. It's one that I had been lusting over for a really long time, because I only got into Oracle like maybe 3 years ago. So I had been using the Brian Froud Fairies deck, which is also amazing. But I feel that the book for this is better. And this book really was the one that helped me connect with that Fae kind of energy even more than I already had. So yeah, that is the Heart of Fairy Oracle by Brian Froud. Oh. The next oracle is this one. Alana Fairchild and Autumn Sky Morrison's Sacred Rebels Oracle. I had this in the box because it has one of these nice Blue Angel boxes. The other oracles did not come with boxes, so they just kind of live on a shelf. But this is another deck that I've kind of been using for healing, for kind of making sense of everything that's been happening this year. It's been very gentle, but it's also kind of been like, look at me. And some of the readings that I've had with this as the central theme and the central deck, I've cried. The guidebook is really good, and I also get a lot of intuitive hits off of this. You know, bring it into form. Just taking those steps, just going farther and manifesting the things that you want. You know, the Sacred Fool, very reminiscent of, you know, card 0, the Fool card in tarot. Be the hunted, not the hunter. These are all really great messages, and I feel that this deck really helped me get me through 2020 and just kind of brought in a focus so that I could keep going. And then lastly, it's kind of a 2-in-1. This is my, oh my goodness, what is the name of this deck? It has 3 volumes. I keep it in this envelope, so I forget the name of it, but I'll go ahead and put the name of this in the down bar. But this is 2 decks in one. This is volume 1 and volume 2. And this oracle deck for me is the perfect one to pair with tarot cards. It has so many great keywords like memento mori. In using something like this with the tarot, you can really clarify what cards mean. Like voice. If you get, you know, let's say the 4 of Pentacles, and then this comes up. Maybe you're speaking that poverty mindset and that parsimonious mindset into existence, and that's what's keeping you back. Victory. You know, you see that pairing with, like, the 9 of Pentacles. It's like, okay, well, I know that I have something to look forward to going forward. Breath, growth, dreams. These are all so expansive. And the juxtaposition of the bones with the greenery really makes me happy as a devotee of Persephone. who has been working with her for a couple decades. It just really appealed to me, and this deck has never failed to make its voice heard. It has never disappointed me, and it is just my favorite clarifying oracle to use in conjunction with tarot. The next prompt is top 5 tarot books. Now, I really only bought one quote tarot book this year. That was Kitchen Table Tarot. It was good. You can see from the spine that I haven't used this as a reference or anything. It was a nice read. I just read it cover to cover, like you would a novel. And I found that this kind of conversational kind of book, there we go, sorry, it doesn't really work with me as well as I'd like. It's beautiful, and it will resonate with a lot of people because of the casual tone that it takes. But for me, if I were just starting out, I would need a book that would be more dry. And the only reason why I can work with this book is because I'm a more advanced tarot reader, because I've been doing this for so many years. But books like this is not what I want if I were a beginner. But it's one that I would recommend to other people who aren't neurodivergent. As a neurodivergent person, I like the history, I like the symbology, I like really getting into, I don't want to say the pedantic side of things, but I know that that's how it can come across. The kind of really in-depth, meaty esoterica. This is not it for that. But it's a good read. I read it like a novel, as I said. Would recommend for certain people. The rest of the books that I bought this year were guidebooks. These are all guidebooks that you purchase separately from the tarot cards. And these are 2 that I've read, the Tarot Fauna and the Book of the Pandas. I feel like the Book of Pandas was really well written, and it's very much in the same line of the same way that the Dark Woods Tarot Guidebook is written. You're going on a journey with these characters. And I think that it is a really great book for people even if they don't have the Panda Tarot. But if you do have the Panda Tarot, this book will just take it to the next level for you. The Tarot Fauna book, it was okay. It was pretty simple. It has this, big full picture of the card. And then on the other side, it has, like a couple of keywords and a paragraph. In a way, I kind of regret it. I have this one and this one color-coded so that I know where all of the suits are. But yeah, this one, great, do recommend. This one, not so much. And these are 2 books that I bought, but I only got these in 2021 because I had the Fantastic and Menagerie Tarot on pre-order, so it only just came in like a week ago. I haven't gotten a chance to read these. I do have the actual tarot cards, and I have worked with them for the Mythical Creatures. I've worked with them, but I didn't really want to really sink myself into them before I got this book so that I could really read up on the TDM meanings because that's one of my goals for 2021 is to really sink my teeth into Tarot de Marseille, or Marseille, and really get a feeling for that. So, bought them, didn't read them, can't speak on how good they are. At least not yet. The next prompt is the card that stalks you throughout 2020. I picked a minor and a major. These were, they were two. Take two. The next prompt is the card that stalked you. I had two. They both turned up the same amount of times. For anyone who wants to know, this is the Moon Crystal Tarot on Etsy. I will go ahead and link it in the down bar if anyone is interested. I picked these cards from that deck because I just love these portrayals. It was the Two of Cups and the Five of Pentacles. I'm a newlywed. This is my going into my second year of marriage, and I felt like this was really indicative of how everything was going. And the Five of Pentacles, so that waiting out in the cold, but there is someone right around the corner to help, but you're just so stuck that you don't know how to help yourself. And both of these cards have been showing up had been showing up for me a lot in 2020. So I had to do a lot of personal work around that to try to balance these energies out. The holographic gilding. I love that. The next prompt is the deck that you finally crossed off your wish list. I already told you that one of them was the Heart of Fairy deck by Brian Froud. I already talked about this. But the other big one that I had to cross off my list was the Chthonic Tarot. This is in order because I just filmed a walkthrough, and that's going to be going up on my channel later. But this is the Chthonic Tarot. It's not really sold anywhere. You have to contact the artist and illustrator, or the artist and author personally, and she'll set up sending this to you. And this deck, I have been lusting over it for the longest time. It's never in print. I never had the money to buy it and ship it from either Australia or New Zealand area to the US. Like, shipping was so expensive. But I finally have this deck in my hands. And it is based, like, with one foot in Rider-Waite-Smith and the other is a little toffee. And I just... Why are you upside down? What's going on? But these depictions are just so beautiful to me. Everyone had been talking about this deck in early 2020, and I couldn't bring myself to spend that kind of money on a deck. And I eventually did. I saved and saved and saved. I finally got it, and I couldn't be happier. This deck is so beautiful. I think that this is one of the prettiest decks, and I am very blessed to have it, because if I recall correctly, the artist has said that she's not going to be making any more of these because she's working on a new deck. And she says that this art that she produced is not nearly as up to snuff as the level that she's at now. So I am very much looking forward to her next deck if she thinks that this doesn't have as much artistry as the next one. I'm in love with this deck. I can't put it down, and I just feel very blessed to have it. I did get a couple of chipped cards because it didn't come with a box. I don't know if you can see all that, but it came a little chipped. I do still have to edge this, but the Chthonic Tarot, it's beautiful. I love this deck. The next prompt is my most worked with deck. So this is the deck that you worked the most with in 2020. And for me, Darkness of Light. This deck is Old Faithful for me. I've used it so much. It's getting chips. I also got this in 2020, but I got it in, I want to say January. I got it secondhand. This wasn't even something that I purchased new. I had gone on a trade tarot Facebook, and someone said that they had this up for trade. And I ended up trading like 3 or 4 mass market decks for this because she was done with it. She didn't connect with it at all. But I, on the other hand, use this deck constantly, and I love it. I love this deck so much. Why? I don't understand why this is in reverse, but just the photography / collage on this deck is incredibly beautiful to me. I love the dark palette, and it's a talker. I've used this for myself. I've used this for clients. It's one of my favorite and most used decks of 2020. And I will continue to use it in 2021 because I got the new 4th edition, and I got 2 of them because I felt like I needed a backup because I am destroying this deck with the chipping. So yeah, the Darkness of Light Tarot, most used deck. The next prompt is the top 5 decks that are on your wish list. I have never put anything up here, so I'm going to try to do that, but if I can't, I'm sorry for the blank screen. The first one is the Runic Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. It hasn't come out yet. It's set for a autumn release, and it's not even in pre-order status yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. I watched its inception in a Facebook group that the illustrator had made, and just watching the progression of that deck being created really made me emotionally involved. So definitely buying that once it comes out. And the other 4 are out of print decks that I'm going to try to scour the entire internet for. The first one is Legend the Arthurian Tarot. It's out of print. It's like $100 on Amazon right now, and I haven't been able to pony up that kind of money for a tarot deck yet that isn't new. The next one is the Smoke, Ash, and Embers deck, which are the same people who made the Oak, Ash, and Thorn deck. I love this deck. It's not in my top 5 because I feel like the stock is so thick. It's even thicker than the True Black, I think. And my tiny hand, like, look, I can barely get my hand around it. And for me, like, it's hard. It's hard to use this deck because it is so thick when I'm trying to shuffle it. It is beautiful, but this stock is huge. I can't deal with this. I have it and I've been kind of pile shuffling it, but okay, well, back to the deck that's on my wish list is, as I said, the Smoke, Ash, and Embers deck by the same people who did the Oak, Ash, and Thorn deck. So that's on my wish list. The next one is the Lisa Hunt Fairy Tale Tarot. I heard that some people had been getting it in the Spanish edition and then just reading it that way. I may do that, but I really want to find one with an English guidebook. So that's why I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. The last thing is an Oracle deck, which is an Oracle de la Nuit. It's supposedly coming out from Lo Scarabeo in the autumn of 2021. I have the Tarot de la Nuit, and I think it's beautiful. It's full of, you know, pretty Caucasian people, and, you know, it doesn't have that kind of diversity that I usually look for in a deck. But having the matching oracle with the tarot, I think, is interesting. I bought the Everyday Witch Oracle to work with the Everyday Witch Tarot, and I didn't like it, so I gave away that oracle. But there's just something about having like that matching oracle and tarot deck together that's just really appealing, and that's the reason why I've got that on my wish list. The next prompt is tarot goals in 2021. So one of my big goals for tarot specifically in 2021 is I have the Wildwood Tarot, and it won't open. Hold on, guys. Why? And it has a really nice guidebook. But I found that there is a Wildwood Tarot workbook called A Year in the Wildwood, and I am going to work through that. I have it on my Kindle app on my phone, which is why I don't have it out for you to see. And I'm going to be starting that study on Monday, but I really want to do a depth year with this deck. I think it's beautiful, but it does stray a little bit from the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, like the Mirror, the Journey, Balance. It's not traditional Rider-Waite, so that's why I want to really give it like that time so I can really sink my teeth into it. And I want to work with that alongside the Year in the Wildwood book. And just kind of, whenever I'm doing a personal reading, when I do my daily draws, this is what I am going to be using. So that's one of my tarot goals. And the last prompt that I'm doing for you guys today is if you could make a 79th tarot card, what would it be? And this is going to sound like such a cop-out, but I thought about this. And I really don't think that the tarot necessarily needs another card. I don't even use reversals because I feel that the energies within the tarot are so complete. So I really wouldn't want to mess with that. If anything, I would really want to add a card that deals with the balance or lack thereof. And this is really where I'm going with this. The lack of gendered energy. Like the NB or something, you know? Like the non-binary, it doesn't have to be either or. It can be both or it can be neither. And I feel that the energy that would depict that in the tarot would be really nice, because as modern tarot readers, or in my case, witches, pagans, that gendered idea of energy feels really outdated. And acknowledging that you can be both or neither or something else entirely, I feel would be a really good energy to be in a deck. Because when you're asking about something, you know, what kind of energy is surrounding me today? Well, it is everything and nothing. And it's something that I feel that the True Black Tarot really kind of did with their extra card. That it's not the beginning or the end, it's just the all, it's the everything. And I really love that idea. But is it something that I feel needs to be standardized? No. The tarot is a historical thing. And I really wouldn't want to mess too much with that structure because of all of the wonderful resources that we have. So I guess my answer is both, right? I would add a card that speaks to the energy of being neither male nor female energy, or being both, or I would just leave the tarot the way that it is. Anyway, that was days 1 through 10 of Ethany's 31 Days of Tarot. Expect me back in a couple days so that I will do 11 through 20. Thanks for watching. Bye.